pop stars, and welcome to this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy.
Thank you for joining us. This week's episode is sponsored by the Heroes R Us, the world's first and only superhero school. We want you to know that you don't have to be Batman, Superman, or the Avengers to be cool. There's a hero inside of all of us. We teach you how to access your inner power and channel your inner superhero at Heroes R Us. For more information, check out our website, heroesrus.org. Tammy, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, you know what's so funny about that? I always ask people like what would be their superpower if they could, and I've never thought of it really myself. Oh gosh. You know what? I think I would want to be able to read people's minds, but be able to control what I hear and when I hear it. So not just like always in my head, like hearing everybody, but be able to control like, when I want to tune into somebody's thoughts and when I just want to like, chill back.
Yeah, that's a scary one. It's a good one, but because sometimes people say something, you think something. And then it's like,
I'm gonna use it to become rich.
That would be a good one. Yes, like the power of clairvoyance. I don't know. Like there are so many good ones out there.
I'm sorry. The power of what?
Clairvoyance, to kind of like see into the future. To be a clear.
Y'all, pop stars. Eddie could have just said, I'd like the power to see into the future. But instead, Eddie got to be Eddie. And she got to throw out her SAT word. Oh, Eddie, we love you. Just love you.
Sorry. My mom says this.
I learned something new, though. I did not know that's what that meant.
My mom says the same thing. We were talking the other day, and I mentioned this word, and she was like, "What?" She's like, "Damn it, just don't be talking to me." I'm like, "Fine. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound like a pretentious ass."
No, but the crazy thing, you don't actually sound like that. You just make me be like, "Okay, Eddie, what does that mean?" But you don't sound like you're full of yourself or something like that. Like you're arrogant, like that. You never come off like you're arrogant. It's just like, I feel like it's just natural for you to like throw words out there and just automatically assume that people know what it means.
I forget people's face. I'm the only person who actually like reads the dictionary and looks up words for fun. Like, yes. I think that's part of my obsession with Wordle, even though it kicks my ass. I like, figuring out words. But anyway, well, this week's episode has to do with superheroes. I'm really excited about this one. This episode, we meet the world's #1 Captain Marvel fan, 15-year-old New Jersey native. I knew that would get you. Kamala Khan. Kamala has always felt like a built-in outcast, except for in the world of superheroes, which is why she really wants to go to Superhero Con, where she feels like she'll be amongst her own people. Only once there, she becomes an even bigger outcast when she discovers that she actually has superpowers of her own, just like her own real-life hero, Captain Marvel. So, Tammy, what did you think of Miss Marvel on a scale of marvelous and Mulan?
Oh, can we do a scale of Marvel series? Because I'll say definitely wasn't Moon Knight.
That's what I was going to say. Moon Knight. Okay, so on a scale of marvelous and Moon Knight.
It wasn't Moon Knight. I actually really, really enjoyed the series. Okay, so the crazy thing is, like, I wasn't too excited. Everybody already knows, especially if you already listened to our review of Moon Knight, which I'm not a fan of. I don't hide that fact. So I was really, really reluctant to watch Miss Marvel, just because I didn't know what I was going to get. The person who actually told me to watch it because it was way better than she thought it was going to be was my mom. Like, my mom is a really hard sell when it comes to Marvel series. Like, she's never seen Loki, never watched Moon Knight. I think she's seen like 2 episodes of the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, she it's really hard to completely get her interest. So when she told me, oh, you got to watch Miss Marvel, like, it's really cute. And I was just like, okay, well, Ma, if you saying that it's cute and I should definitely watch it, I'm going to have to watch this. So I sat down in one sitting, binge watched all 6 episodes, and I was not disappointed. It was lighthearted. It was fun. There was action. There was superhero lore, like finding out like the background of who Miss Marvel was. Like, I heard the gist of who Miss Marvel was when they put the series out there, that they were going to be making the series, but I actually didn't do any research. So kind of getting some background information. I love the connection that they made to history. I'm a history buff. Yes. So I love that they made the connections to history, especially the Muslim American culture. I thought that was really great, fitting in the whole Muslim American culture with being a teenager growing up in New Jersey. Very, very different, but overall, not disappointed. Not disappointed. What about you, Eddie?
Oh, well, first let me send a shout out and say thanks, Mom Tammy, Tammy's mom. Because this was one I was gonna have to like. Normally, I don't put up too much of a fight, but I was gonna have to. This was one I was gonna go to bat for, especially after I saw it. And I think we kind of had the conversation at the same time because it it really was good, and it was one of their better series to me. It was different. It was different than I thought it was gonna be. And um, I I agree with everything you said. You know me, I love representation. I think it matters so much, not just for Black people, but all people of color, all of the minority groups. I think we need more of it. So I'm here for us to tell all of our stories in the different ways and capture the different parts of our various cultures. And so I love that, and I think that was one of the things that, because Miss Marvel is one of those newer comics. Like, I don't read the comic books. I really want to get into them, but I don't read them. Um, but so when I heard about her and her history and who she was, I was all excited. I was just yes. Um, I, I was just I was on the bandwagon just from that alone. But I agree with you. I think they did a great job of incorporating the Muslim or Islamic culture and faith. I even think they were more historically accurate about the split between India and Pakistan and how that came about, and the different religions, and how, and again, how the colonizers basically were at fault for turning the two against each other. Like it, so, I was like, it told a truer, for it to be what it is, it told a truer story than most. There's, once you dig into that history, there's a lot more there, but you get the gist of it. So I love that too. And you don't really expect that much accuracy. Again, I'm not saying it's 100% accurate. I'm not saying that if you want to know the story, Miss Marvel is the place to go and get the whole thing, but it does a great job of giving you a general idea of what happened. Um, I loved I loved everything about it. It was really, really good. I loved her family. Like you touched on that, her family ties. I loved her mom. I loved her parents. They were great. And one of my favorite scenes is probably one of the first scenes where she's trying to get her driver's license, and she wrecks the car, and her mom just comes and she starts going off on the driver instructor, knowing that it was her daughter's fault that her daughter hit another car. And ultimately they were just talking about the family. She's like, well, what can we do? We can do this, we can do that. He's like, no, she hit the car. And then they just walk off and leave them there and still look at him like it was his fault. And I was just like, I loved it. So it grabbed me from the very beginning. What about you? What did you think of her family?
I liked her dad. I thought I liked her. I liked the connection that she had with her brother. I'm not too much of a fan of her mom. And I think it's more on the fact of that her mom was more strict, and even in the end when she like explains it away with, she just really loved her and didn't want her, and I was just like, yeah, but you didn't treat your son that way. It was only your daughter that you were really restrictive with and everything like that compared to your son. So it was, yeah. So with the mom, it was really like a love-hate thing for me. When it came to her mom, it just depended on the situation. But her dad, her brother, even her friends, who are like, you know, your friends always become your makeshift family. I thought they were really great overall. I do think she did have a good teenage connection to her mom. Like they had a genuine, authentic relationship of her mom having to deal with a teenage girl growing up, you know, in these times. I thought it was pretty realistic. I will say I hated the driving lesson scene because it was so unrealistic. I was like, it was over dramatized, and I was just like, okay, this is for TV. I have to remember this is for TV. But I hated it because that's just not how it goes, especially in Jersey. There are certain things that you have to go through before you even get to the point where you actually have go for your driver's test to get your license. And I was just like, so we didn't go through any of the steps, but that's just my mindset of knowing how it really works compared to what they have to show on TV to dramatize, you know, those kinds of things.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was funny, but her mom, I understand what I get what you're saying. There were moments when, yeah, I wanted to throw her mom, and just having friends. Like, I'm an only child, so I don't know, but I know how my mom was at some point with me and my male cousins, and having friends who have brothers in all cultures, not just minority cultures, but there's a thing where we raise our daughters and we love our sons, and they tend to be much more strict on the daughters than they are the sons, for some reason, in different ways. And so that just kind of reminded me of that. Add into that the patriarch, then we want to add into it the patriarchal roles of her, and how, you know, and it really hit home when they were at the dress shop, when they were getting for the wedding, when she was picking out her dress for the wedding, and her mom and that lady were talking about the lady's daughter who, God forbid, she went off backpacking to Europe instead of meeting her husband to be, or whatever, or dumping her husband to be to go backpacking through Europe. You know, so especially in cultures where they expect you to be married or engaged or whatever by the time you're 18 and 20, popping out babies by the time you're 21, 22, it is a lot different. A lot of that pressure falls on the woman. So I got that. And I was like, oh, okay, that portrayal of that was very realistic, but especially the part where the difference in how they treated, how especially her mom treated her versus how she treated her brother, how she was so much more strict with her, but so much more lenient with her brother. Um, but I did love her brother. I thought he was funny. I love one of the scenes I loved most was her dad and her brother, where I guess it was towards the wedding, and he's like, I only have $730 in my bank account, or was it $73 or something like that? And he goes, and his dad looked at him and goes, I'm surprised you have that much. You know, so it was like, it was really cute. But I love the journey of self-discovery, like where her powers came from, how it was a family thing. I also love the story of reconciliation and acceptance, not only between her and her mom, but her mainly between her mom and her grandmother. And I got the sense that maybe the reason why her mom was so hard on her was because of what she went through with her grandmother, and the rumors and the stories, and the legacy of her great grandmother, and no one really understanding who her great grandmother truly was, or why she had to do some of the things that she did. Just the history of that continued to follow her family. And then her mom having a little bit of the gift, and her father telling her those stories and no one really believing her. It just kind of added into that. And once she kind of got a fuller understanding of what was going on, she loosened up a little bit. But I love that story between those women. And just for the just Grandma Aisha, great Grandma Aisha was badass. I loved her. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more with her, seeing a little bit more of what she was capable of. But you got the feeling that she was truly a badass. So I hope as the series continues, that we kind of see them channel her a little bit, maybe more in flashbacks as we continue the story and see exactly um, what's going on. What did you think about her grandma? And
she was crazy.
So
the whole like background story of the sentiment of the explanation of why her mom thought that her, you know, her grandmother was just off her rocker and everything like that. Like, I'm gonna be honest and say I didn't necessarily connect to that. I was just like, oh, okay, that's the sentimental aspects of it. All right, they're trying to explain like how they get to the point of really connecting as mother and daughter based on the previous mother and daughter relationship of her grandmother and her mom. I definitely get that, but it had no significant impact on me, on how I viewed the show. Like it was just there. It was just a scene in the show for me.
So you think they could have taken all that out?
Well, no, because it went with the storyline. That's what I'm saying. Like it connected to the overall storyline of the partition, of the powers that they have, of her great grandmother. Like all of that goes into it. So I'm not saying it didn't play a role. I'm just saying that I didn't connect to it. It was not significant enough for me to even write down in my notes when I was going over the different scenes. That didn't even come into play. Like I didn't even mention her grandmother once in my notes.
So it wasn't impactful to you.
No, it was not.
Oh, okay. So what was something that impacted you? Like what was something that really just kind of stuck with you that you really enjoyed about the series or an episode?
Well, I just really, really loved, I think for a lot of times it is hard for Hollywood to really portray a certain culture realistically. And granted, I'm not part of the Muslim culture. I am not Pakistani, but I think just based off, I do have friends who are Pakistani and Muslim. And I think that it really did a very authentic, realistic view of the Pakistani Muslim culture, especially being a Muslim American teenager, because you're fighting against like the culture and conservatism of your parents and what they expect as a culture, because you're not only connected to your parents, but you're also connected to the whole entire community. As we can see, like some of my favorite scenes was them in the mosque. I thought those were some really, really great scenes. I loved, I forgot what they call their religious leader. Iman, I think it is. Yeah. But the Iman, right? So mm-hmm. I really liked how it was funny moments. So like when they were talking, so one moment is when you have the Insta click, and so they're in the mosque and they're taking pictures of themselves while people are praying, and so the auntie has to come up and take the phones, and she's just like, no Snapchatting, and they're like, it's Insta. And just like, that is such a teenage of today's world kind of thing. Even liking how Nakia would talk about the differences in the different parts of the mosque. Is one building, but just the parts where the women had to be and the part where the men had to be, and then her wanting to run for the mosque board, election board. I just thought like that whole thing, them bringing that cultural aspect in, really, really resonated with me. And I was just like, I really love those parts. I loved how they implemented Muslim culture into the show, and they didn't do it where you felt like it was fake or they were just throwing a bone out there. Like, no, it meshed into the storyline, which made it even better.
Yeah, and it goes back to representation matters. The majority of the of course the cast, the majority of the crew, they were also from that culture, Muslim, Islam, or they had some connection to it, which I think is great. And I think that's the way you can tell the stories most accurately. I always said that, you know, I'm an aspiring writer, or I take the aspiring out. If you write, you're a writer. But as much as I love telling different stories and I would love to be a part of that process, if I were to tell a story like that, then, or, or if I came up with an idea to tell a story about another culture, then I couldn't write it myself. I could produce it. I could probably write parts of it. I could be a co-writer on it, but I could not accurately portray that story. So when you tell these stories about different cultures, you need to have people from that culture, of that culture, to help you get that out and portray it as accurately as possible, even if it is a superhero um, TV show or whatever it is. I don't care if it's nonfiction or fiction. Um, you need to have people from that culture to help you tell those stories. Not saying you can't tell it, but you need to have people there to help you tell the story. So I love that. Just watching the credits, I love seeing that. And as far as what you said about how they accurately portrayed it, for most of the reviews that I read, they had no complaints about that. People are saying that they did a great job in telling those stories and making it as real as possible. And I agree with you. I love Nakia. I thought she was a badass in finding her power and her way in the world as a modern Muslim woman. I loved her explanation about why, as a modern Muslim woman, as a quote unquote feminist in that culture, in that world, why she chose to wear the hijab. It was a choice of hers, and how she said that because she was of mixed culture, that in some cases she felt too white, in some places she wasn't Muslim enough, in some places she wasn't white enough. So she was just figuring out who she was. And I thought her running for the board was amazing. So I love that about her. I also love the fact, like, when I don't know, the alien police, because they weren't really the police. They were a wing of the FBI who dealt with
damage control.
Damage control, yes. So the first time they come and she's like, you gonna need a warrant. She went through all of that, like, know your rights. And I'm like, yes, sis, preach. And all the men just kind of looked at her like, oh, okay. We can't really dismiss her. It's like when some of the people started trying to take her serious, that we're coming to, oh, we're gonna have to take her seriously about being on the board. I love the way she ran game on Kamala's father and trying to get him to vote against his best friend and vote for her
Yes.
on the board. Like, that was so smooth. Like, it was amazing. And he was like, what just happened? He goes, I'm voting for her. um, you know, and the imam, like, how I loved how they talked about a lot of times police don't think of the mosque. They think of it as a place of hiding terrorists, and they don't show them the same respect that they show other churches as being places of sanctuary. And so I love just how realistic some of the portrayals of the culture and the issues that they deal with in that culture, how real they were. So that was kudos to them for that. Um, Back to her dad. Just one thing I forgot. I loved when they were going to Comic Con or the superhero con where her dad dressed up as the Hulk just so he could go with her. The costumes were funny, but I love just how far he went because he really wanted to go with her. And that was the part where she was truly a teen and she broke my heart. And you could tell it kind of broke her heart a little to say no, like she appreciated it, but she couldn't just go to this place with her dad. And I was like, oh, but I loved her dad for that. I thought that was great. Um, okay, I know we don't talk about Bruno. I love that song. We don't talk about Bruno. Okay, but we have to talk about Bruno. I loved Bruno. I hope Bruno is in game. Like, he was so cute. Did you, did you like Bruno?
No. He is endgame. I'll tell you that right now. He is. No. I was not a fan of Brian.
Oh, why? Why are you saying that? Because we don't talk about Bruno?
No, oh my gosh. I was not feeling their vibe or the chemistry. I was just, like, I was just like, oh my God, you're like the best friend that's like a hanger on. And she'll never see you until like that real dangerous moment a couple seasons later where she's just like, oh my God, you've been next to me this whole like I already see the cliche moment of them getting together. I already see it, and I'm just like, I'm already rolling my eyes. I thought Bruno was just blah. Like, but here's the thing. Loved him as her best friend. I loved him as her best friend. I loved him as like her sidekick. He is a genius. I liked his character. I'm gonna change that up. I like Bruno's character. But as her love interest, or who will ultimately become her love interest, I'm not a fan of that at all. But I think that he was a great part of the cast. Like, he played his role very, very well. But I just did not see it between him and Kamala getting together in the end, which they will. But I was just not feeling it. But I guess I'm supposed to, because that is Endgame.
Well, see, I kind of agree with you, but it grew on me. Like, it can't, like, at first I'm like, oh, is he going to be? And I agree with you, great as a best friend, but ultimately I saw it. Like, I don't know what moment it was, and I'm with you. I hope it's not just some totally stupid cliche moment that happens between them, but you could tell that it's a little bit there. He's obviously crazy for her, and she doesn't see it. But and having said that, that was one that I love, that this geeky best friend was a male. I love that the sidekick was a male. And I love that he ultimately did decide to go off to Caltech, not only because Caltech is a hell of a school. It's like the MIT of the West Coast. Like, it's amazing. Yeah, Caltech is a real school, for those who didn't know. But I love that he ultimately decided to go and be his own person for a bit. And I know we don't get to see that, but just develop. And I loved his growth throughout the series, what we saw of it. How he did come to kind of stand on his own. And so I love that. But I did. I also liked Cameron, though. I'm not saying, I saw the sparks between Cameron. I liked him before he went full on batshit crazy, evil, got kind of sort of possessed by his mom and her bad jinn juju. So I'm glad that he kind of had this moment where it's like he veered away from the plot because he really liked her. Like, he jumped ship off of the crazy plan that they had, especially the more extreme. The jinns came in their quest to get Kamala to tear down the veil between the two worlds. So I did like that. I also like the dude who becomes the eventual head of the Red Scarves in Pakistan, her Pakistani BFF. I felt a little bit of a spark, or a little bit of a vibe between them two when they were in Pakistan. I'm like, oh, so is this just BFF vibes, or is this like potential love interest vibes? Like, they gave off a definite vibe. Or am I imagining that?
I think you're imagining it.
Huh?
Well, I saw the red, I don't know what his name was in the show. I just know his real name because I like the actor. But I saw the vibes of him being like her across the sea BFF. Like, he could be her. He could be her Pakistani Bruno.
If that we don't talk about Bruno. My bad. Every time I hear that song,
if we don't like, yeah. So I think that he would be great as that. Like, I got some really good, like, they're going to have a really great relationship. Like, I see them having a really great relationship. I will disagree with you on one thing. I did not get evil vibes or villain vibes from Cameron. I thought they did a good thing I honestly, at the end of the series, do not know if he's going to ultimately be bad or good. If he's going to ultimately be a villain or not, whether he is a villain in the story, I couldn't tell from the end. Like, I saw it as in he never knew the true plan that his mom and the rest of the clandestines had. He didn't know the true plan. His mom told him what she needed to tell him in order for him to play his role. He played his role. He got Kamala to come meet his mom. She was all for the plan. She rethought it, changed her mind. He wasn't for what the plan ultimately was, on basically taking her out, taking anybody out who got in their way, and his mom leaving him behind. Like, that was crazy. That was crazy to me. Like, I was just like, y'all got no feelings and no emotions. Like, you really just bounced on your son, and wow. And he's like, well, this is not our home. And I'm like, this is his home. This is the only home that he knows. Just because you raised him telling him about the Noor dimension does not mean that is his home. It's not. It's your home. So I think that, like, at the end, when he like kind of goes a little crazy, that was him. Not necessarily he was grieving, but he didn't necessarily know about his powers. Like, I think that when people are trying to hurt you, you can go one or two ways. Like, of course, Miss Marvel, she's supposed to always do good, right? So it's kind of like she'll make like those really great decisions. You're not supposed to make sure anybody gets hurt. You're supposed to, always try to save everybody, even your enemies that come after you, which is fucking crazy in the superhero world. Just crazy to me. But with him, it was kind of like he didn't have that mindset. He wasn't raised that way. I don't necessarily think he went crazy in the end or evil. I just think it was him reacting to a situation, and everybody may not agree with his reaction, but I saw a reason why he reacted that way. I'm not too sure I wouldn't have reacted the same way.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think he was never part of the bigger plan with his parents, with his mom, and he actually chose his own path when he chose Kamala over that. But what I was saying is, the moment that his mom, like, the powers went into him, like, I could sense a little bit of his mom's evil machinations. That's what I meant, like that moment. And at the end, you're right. You don't know whether he is going to be fully bad or good. I do like that he ended up with the red scarves. And so it could go either way. He could ultimately be the big bad. Like I said, I didn't read the comics, the Miss Marvel comics. So I'm not, and I didn't research it. I didn't want to be spoiled. So I'm not sure what he is. I just know we have not seen the end of Cameron. I don't think we've seen the end of the clandestines either. Whether some actually escaped through the veil, for the short amount of time that it was open, or if there are more out there. If they got through originally, Aisha and then that group, I'm sure there are others out there. So I'm not even sure. But I did like that. So and I like turning Cameron. I was like, it had me torn. I'm like, oh, Bruno, at this point, she just sees you as a best friend. So let Cameron. This is good. Never mind. That sounded bad the way that was going to come out of my mouth. But it's totally not what I intended. So I won't even go there with that. But see, I'm learning. I caught myself. But I am really, really curious to see where her powers come from and what more she can do. Since her powers are not limited to the bracelet. At the end, did you catch when Bruno told her? And I also want to add, when Bruno told her that there's a deeper mutation in her DNA, in her genes, and that her powers are not that that she's probably more powerful than they think. And also, him specifically using the word mutation, I'm like, oh my God, is she a mutant? Does this mean we might see an X-Men crossover or something? Did you catch that?
She is a mutant.
Oh, so
she's originally Inhuman, right? So she's originally an Inhuman, but
okay. I said okay.
But because I actually I be listening to people I listen to podcasts where they dissect Marvel and DC stories and stuff like that. So what they say is she was made into an Inhuman at the point where Marvel could not use, because at that point Marvel could not use mutant because they didn't own it, right? It was still under, what is it, Fox, right? I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but now that they have that deal, and X-Men have come back into the fold, that is ultimately what it is. So they're going back to the original idea of her being a mutant rather than Inhuman. So yes, she is human.
Okay. So I was really looking forward to that. All right. So, what do you think will come? First of all, do you think there should be a season 2?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And what are you hoping to see from a season
2? I want to see how Cameron progresses. I think that's an interesting storyline at the end to kind of see what he does. Does he embrace the red, what is the red scars, red daggers, whatever? Does he embrace their philosophy on protecting Aisha and her descendants, or is he going to like focus on trying to get his mom back? Because I think that may be something in the back of his head if he's not at the forefront. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the fact that everybody knows her secret now. I think that will be a different take on the superhero series, Marvel series, on everybody knowing who she is, but keeping her secret to themselves. That'll definitely be an interesting aspect to it. And just her continuing to figure out exactly who she is. And also, why is it that it skipped her grandmother, skipped her mom, and only she got it? Would be interesting to know about as well.
Yeah, and I wonder if that goes back to that mutation that he was talking, that Bruno was talking about. So I'm interested to find out more about that. And I agree with you about how it skipped her mom and her grandma. Her grandma has some. Here we go again. Some sort of connection to it, but it's like, look, I'm mixing metaphors here. Obviously, I can because they're all part of the same family now. The force is not as strong with the grandma. As it is with Kamala, obviously. I'm interested to see that. I'm also interested to see what her role will be in in the Marvels. I hope she has more than just a small cameo or a pop up in the Marvels. I know she's going to be in the Marvels, and so I'm thinking season 2 will probably pick up on some thread, from that movie, which is coming out in July. So I'm really, really interested in that. And
did you see the end credit this time?
I did. Okay. For to see Captain Marvel show up, and they kind of like switch places. I'm like, okay, Captain Marvel's here, but what I was like, she's gonna be so mad she missed Captain Marvel. But it was really cool, and speaking of that, I love the explanation of her name and what it means, and so that gave her even deeper connection to Captain Marvel. She was really standing or fangirling at that point. She was like, ah! So it was really cute. I loved it. And when you were talking about you have to save everyone, I love when that kid came back and said the one that she dropped, the first one she tried to save, and she dropped him on the car, and he goes, "That's okay. I guess I was just your beta." Like your tester. And I was just like, "Aw." But it was full of really cute moments. Okay, so since we brought it up, well, let me ask you this. Before we move on to the next part really quick, what are you rating this?
The next part?
Yeah, I have another question overall, but
so
what are you going to rate Miss Marvel?
I'm going to rate this a 3.5. Definitely surprised at it making up for the trash that was Moon Knight. I'm going to continue to say that. Miss Marvel, I love the culture aspects of it, the historical aspects of it, the fact that I love the colorful. We didn't even talk about like just how colorful it was. I love that. Like they didn't tone down the color of her culture. I loved all the characters. The mom, she's a little iffy, but overall 3.5. I would definitely suggest it for anybody else to watch Miss Marvel.
Yeah, I loved it too. I gave it a 4.25. I really, really loved it. I thought it was really good. Probably one of my favorite series from the Disney Marvel universe. It definitely is. I'm thinking ranking in the top 3. WandaVision is still number 1. And I don't know. Loki and this are just so different. So I don't know. 2 or 3. You could probably interchange them just depending on my mood. Okay, so my next big question, really quick. Marvel announced a lot of news at Comic-Con, and since this is a Marvel series, I figured this is the best place to kind of talk about it. Did you see the Black Panther trailer?
I did.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was really emotional.
See, I feel like that is the tone down to me. That is the Tammy that is saying what that's the Tammy giving her least controversial Tammy answer, because that's what you were supposed to say. But me knowing you the way I do, you didn't like it.
No.
Or you didn't see what all the fuss. You didn't see what all the fuss was about. Like you weren't.
No.
Okay.
That's actually an honest opinion. I thought it was very emotional. It definitely hit hard. I'm of the mindset, and I will continue to say that although killing T'Challa, I can understand, I do not agree with the decision to kill Black Panther. I just don't agree with the decision to kill Black Panther just because Chadwick Boseman died. But that's just me. So it's like bittersweet, and I fully understand it. I thought it was phenomenal. It hit the emotional cues like it was supposed to, really hit you hard. Everybody's going there. We're wearing white, just in case you didn't know. You gotta wear white when you go see the new Black Panther movie. But I just, it's bittersweet because I just have a differing opinion from a lot of people on what they should have done about the character of Black Panther.
I agree with you. I think it would have been too soon to recast Black Panther, but I don't think they're killing him. At the very end of the trailer, did you see the new Black Panther? We just don't know who it is, or whether or not they're going to follow the comic books. Because in the comics, his sister actually does take on the mantle of Black Panther. So I don't know if they're officially going to pass the torch in this movie. But I agree with you. Do not just Chadwick Boseman is great. He deserves all the flowers. He did a great job. I would have loved, his timing was unfortunate for so many reasons. But so I agree. I don't think they should kill off Black Panther, and I think we're gonna say goodbye to T'Challa. I think he's going to get the goodbye that he deserves. But I hope this is not the end of Black Panther, and I don't think it is. Just from a tidbit I saw in the trailer, I agree with you on that. I love the trailer too. I love the song. Like I'm a music person, and I find music in the most obscure places. I love the song "No Woman, No Cry." I love the way they mixed in Kendrick Lamar and Bob Marley. Everything's gonna be all right. But so I don't know if they planned to do it, but I don't know if it was just because it was so popular. They released a prologue EP. And it has Tim's version of "No Woman, No Cry." Love it. I love Tim's. I think she has a beautiful voice. But I love, and "No Woman, No Cry" was always one of my favorite songs. But this, and very few people to me can cover Marley and cover him well. He's kind of like a Luther Vandross, like one of those you just better bring your A game and beyond if you're going to touch. And she did that. She really did it on that song. So I loved it. Okay, so Black Panther's going to end Phase 4. We're White. I cannot wait. It's going to be the final movie, the next and final movie for Marvel this year. And I have a feeling just from the trailer, the movie is going to be awesome, and it's going to go out in a bang. It's probably, I'm seeing it now. I hope we outpull Spider-Man, which has been the #1 movie of the year so far. So. But that's just where I'm going with it. Big things I'm channeling Army and all their goals for Black. Every time BTS releases something, they could release a video of toilet paper, and they're gonna send out goals, or we want this to be the #1 video on YouTube, get it 1 billion views, whatever. So I'm channeling that energy for Black Panther. But all right, so going into Marvel, I'm not gonna announce it's a lot, but Loki season 2. Next summer, cannot wait, excited. Echo is also coming next summer. Are you excited about Ant-Man and the Wasp? Are you like? Do you?
I'm more excited than I was for Doctor Strange too.
Okay, are you a fan of the Ant-Man series?
I love Paul Rudd.
Okay.
I mean, Ant-Man is very blah overall, but they do have characters in the Marvel universe that are blah. But I'll take Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm more excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp than I was for Doctor Strange 2. Like, Doctor Strange is my least favorite character right now in the Marvel universe. So I'll take them starting off the phase 5. What is
5.
it?
Yeah, phase 5.
Yeah, I'll take them starting off phase 5.
Okay. I agree with you. I watch it, I think, mainly for Paul Rudd. I think he's amazing. I love some of the side characters, and I honestly cannot envision anyone else playing Ant-Man. Like, he is what keeps me coming back to Ant-Man. But I do like it. So it's not my favorite, but I love Rudd. So we get the next one is Secret Invasion, which I think is more of a Shield type thing. I'm not really sure all the specifics on that. I'll have to do some research before then. The next big one, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think we get the Groot backstory with this one, or the Rocket backstory. You can watch the Groot has a series coming out on Disney. But are you excited for Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
No.
I'm gonna have to. I'm not gonna say I share your same level of or lack of enthusiasm, but I have tempered expectations for this one. It's like, okay, I'll see it because I've seen the other two, and
yes,
this one to be out of a continuation loyalty habit type thing. It's not just like I'm counting down to Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Loki season 2, definite yes. Interested to see what they have to do with Echo. I'm really hoping that from Echo we could spin off Yelena series. I'm thinking she's gonna. We've talked about it before, but I hope we will. So I hope to see Yelena and Echo, and I hope that Yelena finally get her own series or movie. I love Yelena, so she was really good. The Marvels, July. I'm really looking forward to that. What about you?
I'll be honest. Except for like Captain America, which I'm really excited about, the World Order. I didn't really hear that much stuff that I'm really looking forward to. Like, I know I'm going to see everything because that's just what you do for a Marvel movie. You go and see it, especially if you see every blockbuster. But am I excited about any of these movies that are put out there? Not necessarily, but I am going to go see all of them.
I'm excited for the Marvels because I'm excited to see what they're going to do, how they're going to blend or transition Captain Marvel with all the different versions, like Miss Marvel, and goodness, I'm having a brain fart, but the Black Captain Marvel. And also, I'm excited because one of our favorite actors, Korean actors, Park Seo-joon, is making his international debut in this movie. So, with Marvel, everything's tight-lipped. I know he has a major role. I'm just not sure what the role is. So, I'm really excited to see that. Blade. Yes, I love Mahershala Ali, so I will see it for him. Was not a fan of the Wesley Snipes movies. Don't know what Ironheart is. And other than that, I'm excited for Captain America. In 2024. The new Avengers are coming with 2 new Avengers. Kang from Loki is actually going to be Jonathan Majors. He is the big bad I think he's the new big bad of the Marvel universe. And he's going to be the focus of the Avengers movies. The Russo brothers are not returning for the Avengers movie, so hopefully they will still stay good. And I know you're excited for this one. Phase 6 will kick off with Fantastic Four. I'm interested to see who they are going to cast. And that will be, we still have about a year and a half because that movie is not coming out until November of 2024. So I'm pretty sure within the next year or so, we'll start hearing casting for that. So I'm really, really interested to see what Marvel Phase 5 and 6 will look like. And there's going to be some other stuff, other thrown in there, and mostly covers all the major movies. Oh, the big one, Daredevil, is all the series that were on Netflix. Did you watch any of the series on Netflix? Daredevil, yes. Jessica Jones.
I watched all of them.
Okay.
Except, I didn't watch Luke Cage.
Oh, Luke Cage was good. So they're bringing back Daredevil, even though all the series have now transitioned over to Disney Plus. Daredevil is getting a new series, and it's going to be 18 episodes long. I think out of all those cancellations, Daredevil was the one that upset people the most. And so it is coming back. It's called Daredevil Born Again. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are reprising their roles. So that's really cool. I was looking out. I could do with bringing all of them back, and maybe even getting, what was the one that no one liked again? I can't remember. Fist. Yeah, and maybe actually getting Iron Fist right. I would be okay with that. But I'm excited for Daredevil. Well, that does it. Anything else to add about the Marvel or Miss Marvel? What's coming up in the MCU or this episode?
You're way more excited than I am, but go for it.
I know it's kind of like I was saying, I like darker stuff. So this is kind of like as light and as goofy as I get when it comes to TV and stuff. Like I don't watch a lot of comedies or anything. So this is like my feel good, guilty pleasure, just whatever, type of thing. Besides Jason Statham, Jason Statham's in it. I am freaking there. Like so there. Oh, one more. I knew I had one more thing. Are you a fan of Ghost Rider?
No.
Oh my gosh. So Ryan Gosling, there's a rumor that they could cast your boy Ryan Gosling as Ghost Rider. Yay or nay?
Nay.
I'm with you on that. I really would love to see, and I had his name written down. The guy who played Ghost Rider in the Marvel series in S.H.I.E.L.D., I think he would be excellent as Ghost Rider. That's neither here nor there at the moment because they haven't officially announced the movie, but just wanted to bring that up. Okay, now I'm done. I'm officially done. My excitement notwithstanding. Do you have anything else to add?
No, ma'am.
All right, well, that does it for this week's episode of the Popcorn Wind Down. Please be sure to like, listen, follow, and comment anywhere. Oh, and subscribe anywhere you listen to your podcast. Wherever you stream your podcast, we are there because we are just international like that now. We are global, y'all, doing big things. I'm manifesting it. Hey, you can also keep up to date on the latest in entertainment and pop culture news, as well as other amazing kernels of pop culture goodness at thepopcornwinddown.com. That's it. That's the plug. Pop, 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 pop. As we continue to do bigger things and grow, I will get my sound effect. I know I will. Right?
Nope. But you can continue to dream for it.
Yep, it's coming. Thank you as always, and be sure to join us next week when we will discuss. I'm excited about this. The final season. We say goodbye to one of our favorites, one of the shows that we were kind of born with. We kind of grew as this one grew. The final season of Never Have I Ever. I'm really excited to see what they have in store for us this final season. And who in game actually ends up being, which one of us wins the in game debate.
Well, you will, but we'll talk about that next week.
Don't sound so excited. But until then, I'm Eddie.
And I'm Tammy. Bye.
Peace.